We've all imagined what it would be like to survive a zombie apocalypse. And you know what? It's just such an interesting topic to think about and talk about. So I've decided to list everything people get wrong about zombie apocalypses, starting with one people overlook: water. Everyone says stock up on food first, but that's backwards thinking that'll kill you fast. Emergency planners put water at the absolute top because you'll die from dehydration in 3 days, while you can survive weeks without food. The real problem? People think any water source will work if you're desperate enough. Wrong. After disasters, authorities warn against using tap water, well water, or any natural source without proper treatment because contaminated water spreads disease faster than zombies spread bites. You need 1 gallon per person per day, and that's before cooking, cleaning wounds, or washing anything. Most people's water plan is grabbing a few bottles from the kitchen, which buys maybe 24 hours if you're lucky. But here's where it gets worse. If your tap water becomes unsafe, boiling is the gold standard. Bring water to a rolling boil for at least 1 minute before using it for drinking or food prep. Sounds simple, right? Except boiling water requires fuel and takes time you might not have when zombies are pounding on your door. But fuel is a lot more tricky than you think. Generators and carbon monoxide. You've barricaded yourself in a house, got a generator running in the basement for power, and you're cooking a victory meal on an electric stove. Hooray, you're cooked, dude. Carbon monoxide poisoning kills hundreds every year, especially right after disasters when people fire up generators indoors. It's called the silent killer because you can't see it, smell it, or taste it, and the symptoms: headache, dizziness, nausea, feel like stress or fatigue until you're unconscious. And generators aren't just loud, zombie-attracting noisemakers, they're totally death traps if you use them wrong. A review of disaster-related carbon monoxide deaths found that most happened because people ran generators inside their homes, garages, or too close to windows and doors. Even outdoor generators can kill you if exhaust drifts back into your shelter. The CDC guidelines are crystal clear. Generators must be at least 20 feet from any building, never in basements, garages, or enclosed spaces, and never near windows, doors, or vents. But when zombies are roaming outside and you need power for lights, radios, or medical equipment, how many people are really going to risk setting up a noisy generator 20 feet away in the open? Most zombie fiction treats generators like magic boxes that solve all power problems, but unfortunately they're far from it. Okay, but let's say you have got your power safely, but how do you keep it running when fuel is locked underground? Gas stations and fuel. Here's a fun fact that'll ruin every zombie road trip fantasy. Most gas stations can't pump fuel without electricity. Those pumps aren't hand-cranked, they're electric, tied to the grid, and useless the moment power goes out. Some stations have backup generators, but they're not designed for extended outages. They're meant to keep things running for a few hours during brief power failures, not for weeks or months of infrastructure collapse. Once that backup power dies, those underground fuel tanks become inaccessible treasure chests that might as well be on the moon. But even if you find working pumps, there's a bigger problem nobody talks about. Gasoline expires. Regular unleaded starts breaking down chemically after 3 to 6 months, becoming watery, ineffective, and potentially engine damaging. Ethanol-blended fuel degrades even faster because ethanol absorbs moisture from the air, turning your precious gas into engine-killing sludge. Diesel lasts longer, 6-12 months typically, up to 2 years with proper storage and stabilizers, but eventually becomes useless too. This means every abandoned car, every jerry can in someone's garage, every fuel tank you're planning to siphon from becomes a countdown timer. Find fuel early, or it's worthless. Empty tanks are a problem. Empty morals are worse. Are you ready to face the crowds before the corpses? Grocery stores. Everyone's first instinct: head to the grocery store and load up. The problem is, so is everyone else's. And grocery stores are designed to fail fast during emergencies. Modern grocery stores operate on just-in-time inventory systems, meaning they only stock 3 to 4 days worth of products under normal conditions. They're not warehouses. They're efficient distribution points that depend on constant truck deliveries to stay stocked. When panic buying starts, and it always starts before the zombies even show up, shelves empty in hours, not days. Remember toilet paper during COVID? That was with supply chains still mostly functional. Now imagine the same panic buying with 0 truck deliveries, no restocking, and actual undead creatures making deliveries impossible. But here's the part everyone misses. It's not just about grabbing food before it's gone. Those same stores become death traps once panic sets in. In 2008, a 270-pound Walmart worker was trampled to death by shoppers during Black Friday sales. These were people hunting for discounted TVs, not fighting for survival supplies. Imagine that crowd energy when people think they're shopping for their lives. The real problem isn't finding food. It's competing with thousands of panicked humans who got there first and won't share nicely. Smart survivors skip the obvious targets and think smaller. Pharmacies, gas station convenience stores, office break rooms, school cafeterias, places where other people aren't looking. looking, but where you can still find enough supplies to buy time. You avoided the mobs, but what if your bullets bring more problems which you can never imagine? Noise and stealth. Movies love dramatic gunfights where heroes mow down zombie hordes with automatic weapons. Cool to watch, deadly in reality. Firearms are loud, really loud. A typical gunshot produces sound levels between 140 and 190 decibels. To put that in perspective, immediate hearing damage starts at around 140 dB, and sounds above 85 dB can cause permanent hearing loss with prolonged exposure. Every shot you fire is potentially advertising your location to every zombie and hostile survivor within miles. But it's worse than just attracting attention. In a world without background noise from traffic, air conditioners, and city life, sound carries much farther than you'd expect. That zombie-clearing gunshot might be heard clearly from several miles away, especially at night when cooler air carries sound more efficiently. Here's what people don't consider. Even quiet activities become loud in the post-apocalyptic silence. Starting a car engine, running a generator, chopping wood, even talking at normal volumes can travel surprising distances when there's no ambient noise to mask them. The stealth problem gets worse indoors. Most residential construction uses thin drywall and hollow doors that transmit sound easily. Your whisper about who takes the next watch might be loud enough to draw the dead. Professional military and law enforcement train for noise discipline because sound kills more operators than enemy bullets. But most civilian zombie plans involve making enough noise to wake the dead, literally counterproductive to survival. You think gunshots clear the room? What if that blast brings every zombie in a mile crashing your door? Medical emergencies. Everyone focuses on zombie bites as the main health threat, but reality check. You're way more likely to die from appendicitis, infections, or basic injuries than from turning into a zombie. Approximately 1 in 20 people develop appendicitis during their lifetime. It requires immediate surgical intervention, appendectomy, or the infected appendix bursts, causing peritonitis and often death within days. In a zombie apocalypse, that's a death sentence unless your group includes a trained surgeon with proper equipment, anesthesia, and sterile conditions. But appendicitis is just one example. What about diabetics who need insulin? Heart patients requiring daily medication, people with high blood pressure, asthma, epilepsy, or any chronic condition that requires pharmaceuticals. Modern medicine keeps millions alive who would die quickly without access to their medications. Even minor injuries become major threats without proper care. A simple cut becomes life-threatening if it gets infected and you don't have antibiotics. A broken bone that heals wrong can disable you permanently. Dental problems, abscessed teeth, impacted wisdom teeth, untreated cavities can kill you through systemic infection. Emergency wound care after disasters emphasizes cleaning wounds immediately with clean water, applying antibiotic ointment if available, and covering with clean bandages. But clean water is already a premium resource. Antibiotic ointment expires, and bandages assume a sterile supply. You can splint a bone, but you can't splint a burning stairwell, can you? Fire hazards. Here's a scenario nobody talks about. You're safe in your barricaded building, zombies can't get in, supplies hold out, and then someone accidentally starts a fire. Game over. Modern home fires reach flashover. Everything in a room ignites in less than 5 minutes, compared to about 30 minutes in older homes. Synthetic materials fuel rapid spread. In normal times, fire departments respond in about 4 to 6 minutes. Zombie times, you're on your own. No 911, no fire trucks, no firefighters. Once fire starts, you have minutes to put it out or evacuate, abandoning your secure position and exposing your group to the undead. Fire spreads via direct flame, radiant heat, burning embers, and superheated gases. Apartment buildings and dense urban areas become tinderboxes where one structure fire can spread to neighboring buildings through windows, balconies, and shared walls. Smoke detectors need batteries. Fire extinguishers empty quickly, and escape routes may be blocked. Most people's fire plan is, we'll be careful, but accidents happen. Candles tip over. Impromptu heating sources malfunction. Electrical systems overload. Cooking fires spread. In a world without emergency services, even small fires become life-threatening emergencies. A cut could kill you, but a stray spark will burn you out. Are you ready for the next threat, which is definitely out of your brain? Winter and weather. Zombie fiction usually happens in perfect weather, but real disasters don't wait for spring. Winter kills more people than zombies ever could, especially when heating systems fail and you can't simply turn up the thermostat. Many areas are only habitable because of modern HVAC. Without heating, sub-freezing regions become survival challenges that require proper gear, insulation, and heating fuel just to avoid freezing freezing to death. Hypothermia sets in when your body temperature drops a few degrees. Mild hypothermia causes shivering and confusion. Severe causes cardiac arrest and death. It doesn't require Arctic conditions. Hypothermia can occur in temperatures as warm as 50-degree dash if you're wet, tired, or poorly insulated. But winter creates cascading problems. Frozen pipes mean no running water. Snow and ice make travel dangerous. Shorter daylight reduces time for scavenging and patrol. Heating fires require constant fuel and produce visible smoke that advertises your location. Food preservation becomes easier in winter, but acquisition becomes much harder. Edible plants die back. Animals migrate or hibernate, and hunting requires specialized cold weather skills and equipment most people lack. Seasonal affective disorder affects millions in normal winters with heated homes and social connections. Imagine the mental health impact of a cold, dark, isolated winter while fighting zombies. Nothing kills like cold. Zombies freeze, but people can't. Can you keep your blood pumping as we head into combat? Weapons and combat. Pop culture has convinced everyone that zombies require headshots, and headshots are easy. Both assumptions will get you killed. Headshots are incredibly difficult, even for trained marksmen. Military and law enforcement train to shoot center mass because it's a bigger target with higher hit probability. Special forces spend thousands of hours practicing precision headshots. Most civilian gun owners shoot at stationary paper targets under controlled conditions. Combat shooting involves moving targets, stress, adrenaline, limited time, and life or death consequences. Range accuracy doesn't equal zombie killing efficiency. Even if headshots are necessary and you're skilled, every shot broadcasts to every zombie within hearing range. The katana is the perfect zombie weapon myth deserves mention. Unless you're a trained swordsman with years of practice, a katana is more dangerous to you than zombies. Proper sword combat requires muscle memory, timing, and technique developed over years. Swinging a sharp blade around under stress is a great way to cut yourself, not your target. Most zombie-killing weapons, chainsaws, axes, crowbars, baseball bats, are either loud, require fuel, get stuck, or are exhausting to use repeatedly. Real combat is physically demanding. Swinging a heavy weapon enough times to clear zombies will leave you exhausted and vulnerable. The weapon reality nobody discusses. Maintenance. Blades get dull. Moving parts jam or break. Ammunition runs out. In the long run, the best weapons are simple, reliable tools maintainable with basic skills and available materials. Headshots sound heroic, but bullets bring headaches. And that's just the start of the fight. How will your group hold together? Group dynamics. Every zombie team fantasy involves your closest friends working together seamlessly like a well-oiled machine. Reality check, stress, fear, and resource scarcity turn even good people into potential enemies. Survival situations reveal true personalities. The friend who's fun at parties might panic under pressure. The quiet person might become the natural leader. The person you trust most might make decisions that risk the group. You won't know until the situation tests everyone. Resource allocation becomes a constant source of conflict. Who gets the last can of food? Who takes the dangerous supply run? Who gets the warm coat? Who sleeps in the safest spot? These daily decisions can create resentment and split groups apart. Leadership disputes are almost inevitable. In normal life, leadership roles are informal. In survival, leadership decisions directly impact everyone's safety. Different people will have strong opinions about group direction, priorities, and strategies. Without a clear structure, groups fragment or waste time arguing when they should be acting. The psychological toll of zombie survival includes watching people die, making life or death decisions, living in constant fear, and dealing with uncertain futures. These stressors cause depression, anxiety, PTSD, and other mental health issues affecting group cohesion and judgment. But here's what people really don't consider. What happens when someone gets bitten? Most groups assume they'll make the hard choice to put infected members down quickly. In reality, denial, hope, and emotional attachment make these decisions nearly impossible. People will risk the entire group trying to save one infected person, especially if that person is family or a close friend. Looting secures your survival, but at what moral cost? Scavenging and looting. The empty stores are free for the taking mentality ignores a crucial reality. You're not the only person with that idea, and not everyone's going to share nicely. Other survivors represent a much greater threat than zombies. Zombies are predictable. Humans are unpredictable, intelligent, and capable of cooperation, deception, and violence in ways zombies can't match. Territorial disputes over prime scavenging locations, gun stores, stores, pharmacies, grocery stores, hardware stores are inevitable. Encounters can escalate into armed conflicts more dangerous than zombie attacks because humans can plan, coordinate, and use tactics. The timeline problem nobody discusses. Early looting gets the best stuff, but late looting might be safer. Hit stores too early and you face crowds of panicked people and initial zombie spread. Wait too long and everything useful has been taken by other survivors. There's a narrow window where stores have been abandoned by staff, but not yet stripped clean by other scavengers. But even successful looting creates new problems. How do you transport bulky or heavy items? How do you get supplies back to your base without being followed? How do you store perishable goods without refrigeration? How do you inventory and ration what you found? Security during scavenging requires multiple people, lookouts, guards, carriers, but also increases noise and visibility. Solo scavenging is quieter but leaves you vulnerable if you're trapped or injured. Group scavenging is safer but attracts more attention and requires coordination. The psychological impact of looting shouldn't be ignored either. Taking others' property, even abandoned, can create guilt and stress. Breaking into homes and businesses goes against moral conditioning, affecting decision-making and mental health during already stressful situations. You survived week 1. Can you survive year 2? Let's look beyond canned beans. Long-term sustainability. Most zombie survival fantasies focus on the first few weeks or months. But what about year 2? Year 5? Long-term survival requires planning beyond immediate zombie threats. Agricultural knowledge becomes critical once stored food supplies are exhausted. Knowing which plants are edible, how to save seeds, when to plant crops, and how to preserve harvests isn't intuitive information. Most people can't identify common edible plants or distinguish them from similar-looking poisonous species. Tool maintenance and replacement present ongoing challenges. Metal tools rust, sharp edges dull, moving parts wear out. Without manufacturing infrastructure, every broken tool becomes irreplaceable. You must either stockpile massive backup quantities or learn to repair and manufacture tools using scavenged materials. Fuel production becomes necessary once stored gasoline expires. Ethanol can be produced from corn, potatoes, or other crops, but this requires knowledge of distillation, access to crops, and processing equipment. Biodiesel can be made from vegetable oils, but again requires specific knowledge and gear. Medical knowledge becomes increasingly important as first aid supplies run out and group members age. Understanding herbal medicine, basic surgery, wound care, and disease prevention could mean the difference between thriving and slowly dying from treatable conditions. Educational needs for children and survival groups present unique challenges. Kids need education to develop into functional adults, but traditional resources won't be available. Someone must teach reading, writing, basic math, and practical skills. Long-term group survival depends on raising the next generation with knowledge and skills. Social structure evolution happens whether you plan for it or not. Initial groups based on friendship or proximity will change as people prove valuable or problematic. Leadership will shift. New people will join or be turned away. Romance, marriage, and reproduction will create new family units. You've got seeds, soap, and systems. Now, what if the only weak link is the engine? Vehicle dependence. Cars seem like the perfect zombie apocalypse tool. Mobile shelter, storage, and weapons all in one package. But vehicle dependence creates as many problems as it solves. Fuel is the obvious limitation we've discussed, but maintenance creates ongoing challenges most people can't handle. Modern cars are complex machines with computerized systems, specialized parts, and maintenance needs that assume auto parts stores, mechanics, and diagnostic equipment. Tire wear becomes a major issue during extended use, especially off-road or through debris. Flat tires, sidewall damage, and tread wear will eventually leave you stranded. Spare tires are temporary solutions, and finding replacements during the apocalypse becomes nearly impossible. Battery maintenance requires either a working electrical system to keep batteries charged or access to replacements when originals die. Jump-starting assumes jumper cables and another working vehicle. Replacement assumes you can find correct battery types and have tools to install them. Oil changes, air filter replacements, brake maintenance, and other service needs don't disappear during emergencies. Skipping maintenance leads to breakdowns that can leave you stranded at the worst possible moment. Performing maintenance requires tools, parts, and knowledge most lack. Car engines are loud, especially when accelerating or climbing hills. Starting a cold engine can be heard from significant distances. Vehicle noise attracts both zombies and other survivors, creating more problems than mobility solves. Road conditions deteriorate without maintenance crews. Debris from accidents, abandoned vehicles, fallen trees, and infrastructure damage block roads or cause damage. Clearing obstacles requires tools and time, leaving you exposed. Most importantly, vehicle dependence creates psychological attachment to something ultimately expendable. People make poor survival decisions trying to protect or retrieve vehicles when they should abandon them and continue on foot. When your car dies, how do you call for help? Communication is your only helpline. Communication. Everyone assumes they'll just use cell phones until the battery dies, then figure out alternatives later. But communication is critical for group coordination, gathering information, and potential rescue contact. Cell networks fail quickly during emergencies. Towers require electricity and maintenance. Switching centers need power and technical support. Even if some towers remain functional, network overload from emergency calls can make connections impossible. Two-way radios offer better communication but require understanding frequencies, range limitations, and proper operation. Most people don't realize handheld radios have limited range, maybe a few miles in ideal conditions, much less in urban environments with buildings blocking signals. Battery power limits all electronic communication devices. Rechargeable batteries eventually wear out. Disposables become scarce. Solar chargers work but require sunny conditions and time to recharge. Information gathering requires news sources to understand zombie spread patterns, government response, safe zones, or evacuation routes. Without internet, TV, or radio broadcasts, groups become isolated and make decisions on outdated information. Communication protocols within your survival group prevent confusion. Who monitors radios? What are emergency signals? How do you communicate during scavenging? What's the backup plan if primary communication fails? Ham radio requires licenses and technical knowledge most don't have, but offers the best long-range options during emergencies. Learning ham basics before an emergency could provide critical communication when other systems fail. Security implications of communication can't be ignored. Radio transmissions can be intercepted by hostile survivors. Electronic devices can be tracked. Communication protocols can be compromised. Maintaining operational security while coordinating activities requires planning and discipline. You need sleep to survive, but sleep could kill you. Are you ready for the ultimate paradox? Sleep and security. You need sleep to survive, but sleeping makes you vulnerable. This creates a 24/7 security challenge that most zombie plans ignore. Guard duty rotation sounds simple until you implement it. How many people can your group spare for security without compromising other essential activities? How long can someone maintain effective alertness during a watch shift? What happens when guards fall asleep on duty due to exhaustion or boredom? Sleep deprivation affects decision-making, reaction time, and judgment in ways that can be fatal. Chronic sleep loss causes hallucinations, paranoia, and cognitive impairment. People make poor choices as sleep debt accumulates, but survival situations often prevent adequate rest. Secure sleeping locations require defensible positions with multiple exit routes, good visibility, and noise barriers that still let you hear approaching threats. Most buildings weren't designed with security in mind, so creating truly secure sleeping areas requires reinforcement and planning. Light discipline at night is critical. Flashlights, candles, and fires can be seen from long distances and attract unwanted attention, but complete darkness makes navigation, security, and emergency response difficult or impossible. Noise discipline while sleeping presents unique challenges. Snoring can attract zombies or reveal your location to hostile survivors. Moving around, talking, or having nightmares can compromise stealth. Some people need CPAP machines, which require electricity and make noise. Psychological factors affect sleep quality. Stress, fear, and hypervigilance cause insomnia, nightmares, and restless sleep. Poor sleep quality compounds stress and creates a cycle that affects group morale and effectiveness. The reality nobody wants to face. Adequate security and adequate sleep are competing priorities. Compromise either one, and you increase the risk of death from zombie attacks or poor decision-making due to exhaustion. If you enjoyed this video and want to see why you wouldn't survive a zombie apocalypse, click it now.